Silence. When the body speaks before you collapse. Have you ever tried to love someone only to lose yourself along the way? Have you ever quieted your voice, held back your emotions, softened your edges just to make someone stay, or to protect an image others expect you to become? I have. And perhaps you have too. It's a feeling hard to name. There's no clear turning point, no loud breaking sound, just a slow drifting away from who you are. You become gentler, not because you want to, but because you fear being called too much. You speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because you worry your truth is an inconvenience. You act like you're okay, not because you are, but because you know deep down, if you show your sadness, no one will stay. And then one day, you look at your reflection in the mirror, and you don't recognize who's staring back. It's a quiet sadness, not dramatic, not tragic, just an emptiness you can't quite name, and a question rises from within, soft but sharp as a needle. Who am I when I'm no longer trying to be what others want? Many of us live trying to be palatable, to be agreeable, to not be too much, to be loved. And many of us never noticed the moment we lost touch with who we truly are. Silent, exhausted, numb. Not because we are weak, but because we've gone too long without saying, I need to be heard. Your body is tired. Your mind is adrift, not from overwork, but because you've abandoned yourself in the pursuit of pleasing everyone else. Today, I invite you to pause, just for a moment, and ask gently, honestly, when was the last time I was truly myself? 2. When no one listens, silence becomes a shelter. I want to tell you a story. Nothing grand, nothing tragic, just a small slice of life. But I believe you might see yourself in it. A few years ago, I went through something I can only describe as silence. Not because I was sick, my voice still worked, but somehow I no longer wanted to speak. Each morning I'd step into the day like clockwork. Work, small talk, smiles at the right moments. But inside, I was hollow. Not sad, not happy, just numb. When someone asked, "How are you doing these days?" I would reply, "I'm fine." Not because I was fine, but because I didn't know what else to say. One day I stumbled upon a single line of text. Silence is how the soul asks you to stop. I cried, quietly, as if someone had finally seen me. Not the version of me that's always holding it together, not the agreeable one, but the part inside, small, tired, aching, that hadn't been asked, "How are you really?" in a long time. After that moment, I started noticing the people around me more. There was a woman at work, Everyone called her Superwoman. Always helpful, always smiling, never complaining. One afternoon during a break, I gently asked her, "Do you ever feel overwhelmed?" She smiled a little too quickly. "I do, but if I speak, who will truly listen? And if they listen, will they have the patience to understand?" I didn't say much after that, but something clicked. So many people choose silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've said it all before, and no one really heard them. So they stop, not out of indifference, but out of quiet resignation. Have you ever felt that? Like you no longer care to argue, no longer need to explain, no longer wish to prove your worth. Not because you've grown past it, but because you're simply tired. Tired of trying to be understood. I once heard a close friend confess, "I feel like a shadow walking beside life. I'm here, but no one really sees me." People often think it's only the quiet ones who drift into that state, but no, even the loudest, even the inspirational ones, go silent sometimes. Because inside, exhaustion has reached its peak, not from work, but from constantly contorting themselves to meet expectations. If this is where you are, please know this: you are not alone. You are not wrong for retreating, for pausing, for hiding in silence. That isn't failure. It is the first signal that you're beginning to return to yourself. You used to be the one who could handle anything, the one who said just a little more, the one who was always okay. But now, your body, your mind is speaking in a language made of quiet, a silence that echoes. And if you listen closely, you'll hear someone knocking from within, asking to be heard. That someone is you. Why do we lose our voice? A journey into emotional stillness. A. Emotions are your soul speaking, not your failure. You know, when your voice goes quiet, when your body chooses silence, it doesn't mean you failed. It simply means your system has conserved itself enough that normal functioning became impossible. In psychology, this is often the first sign of breakdown, not physical collapse, but emotional exhaustion. In psychoanalytic terms, this is a break point, where old suppressed memories resurface, overwhelming you so much that you lose direction. Silence takes over. Your voice goes mute. Fatigue crashes in. B. Roots from childhood, conditional love, and emotional suppression. Let's go back to when you were a child, when you cried from a fall and heard, "It's okay, you're fine." When a curious question was met with abrupt indifference. When you expected comfort, but got nothing but a shrug. Your young mind learned, love only comes when you're not a bother. Smile and you're accepted. Cry and you become too much. That is what we call a formative wound. Many adults still carry it. The belief that to be loved, you must regulate your emotions, must be appropriate, must not feel too deeply, until your core screams, your body halts, just to survive. C. Stoicism. Observe your emotions without judgment. Stoics never taught emotionlessness. They taught, notice your feelings, but do not let them define who you are. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you that causes suffering, but your perception of it. While psychoanalysis explains why you feel as you do, Stoicism helps you discern emotions are your companion, not your enemy. Anger, sadness, weariness, they are signposts. No blame, just awareness. D. Triggers. Awakening subconscious wounds. You hear an old song, a passing remark, a random glance, and you start crying for reasons you can't pinpoint. That's your emotional trigger at work. It uncovers an unhealed memory, making you relive that moment. There's no shame in it. It merely means some pain still lives within, waiting to be acknowledged. E. The brain's three-tiered response: thinking, feeling, survival. Neuroscience tells us the brain operates on three layers: neocortex, rational thought; limbic system, emotional reactions; reptilian brain, survival. Reptilian brain, survival mode, fight or flight. When the pressure mounts from constant stress or imposed silence, your brain flips into survival mode. That's why you lose your voice. You're not in connection or creativity mode anymore, just survival. F. Modern philosophy. Sacrifice isn't proof of love. Modern philosophers like Kierkegaard and de Beauvoir warn us. Giving yourself up in sacrifice isn't noble. It diminishes your value in others' eyes. When you suppress emotion, you surrender your right to feel. You give too much, forgetting that every person holds a unique, worthy essence. G. Understand, don't judge your emotions. You don't need to feel less pain. You need to understand it more. When you're sad, quietly ask, why am I sad? When you're angry, whisper, what boundary feels threatened? This is mindfulness and self-compassion. No judgment, just inquiry. Step by step, you peel back layers that shield you, letting your emotions breathe, heal. H. The synergy of psychology, stoicism, psychoanalyze builds resilience. From psychology, you learn triggers and how to manage stress. From psychoanalyze, you uncover why you react, so you can forgive and accept yourself. From stoicism, you learn to stand firm amid life's storms, unbroken, unscathed. Final note: silence isn't your fault. You haven't failed by losing your voice. Your body didn't betray you. You merely reached a boundary you didn't allow yourself to cross. Silence is reminding you, hey, you've been trying. Don't forget yourself. Just take a moment to listen. You don't have to fight today. Just pause. Look at what you're feeling and refrain from judging yourself for it. Once you realize silence isn't the enemy, but a call to healing, you take your first steps out of the darkness, back to yourself. 4. The truth about sacrifice, misunderstanding, and suppressed emotions. Opening. Challenging old beliefs. Deep down, you may have held a belief. If I'm good enough, if I sacrifice enough, if I endure long enough, someone will see me and stay. That was more than hope. It was a dangerous illusion born from insecurity. You believed that if you silenced yourself long enough, others would finally hear your heart. But truth can be harsher, and sometimes we must face it. Illusion number 1. Exhaustion isn't strength. You don't need to pour every ounce of your energy into proving your love. You don't have to go silent to show sincerity. Even when that silence robs you of your voice, it doesn't make others listen harder. Instead, it makes you disappear. And you may have convinced yourself, if I stay quiet, I'm being kind. But kindness isn't born from depletion. It comes from being seen, understood, accepted, flaws and all. Illusion number 2. Emotions are warnings, not weakness. You've told yourself, anger is bad, sadness is weak, I must stay calm, I must control. But there's no reason joy, anger, or sorrow are wrong. Emotions are angels alerting you from within. Anger defends your boundaries. Sadness reveals buried hopes, unhealed hurt, seeking care. Imagine your inner life as a glass house. You plaster over cracks by not feeling, not letting anger in, not letting sadness show. You believe that makes it perfect, but the cracks remain. You just trick yourself into believing that, if unseen, they're gone. Illusion number 3. You don't need to be understood to be whole. You long to be understood. For someone to see your pain, your effort, your truth. But maybe you don't need understanding. You just need to not abandon yourself. Sometimes, people don't stay because they don't know how, not because you aren't good enough. Think of yourself as a boat on a vast ocean. You do deserve safe harbor, but if you remain steady, you'll learn to row or simply stay afloat wherever you are. Truth breaks through the cracks. Truth doesn't shout. It slips in like sunlight through a cracked door. When you say, I am hurting, I need to be seen, that's when connection begins. When you stop running from anger or sadness and allow yourself to stay, you are becoming stronger, not weaker. Healing philosophy. Feel with presence. Stoicism says, let anger come when it wants, and let it go when it chooses. Don't cage your emotions. Don't shut your heart. Let go, but don't let go of who you are. Psychoanalysis reminds us, it's not about whether emotions arise, but how you respond. With care, patience, and belief in your wholeness. A shared truth. You are not alone. I remember a participant once said, I thought if I tried hard enough they'd understand, but in the end, I lost my voice just to be left in peace. The room fell quiet, not because she was wrong, but because she spoke the truth many carry. You're not wrong when you go silent. You're simply saying, I can't walk any further. And what you truly need is to be heard. Rediscovering your worth. You are still whole. If you've stayed with me this far, here's what I want you to hear. Your silence does not make you less. Your suppression does not make you weak. You're just living the way your body knows how, and that deserves respect. Maybe you don't need others to understand. You just need to stay with yourself. Remember, silence isn't a downfall, it's a pause. And when you hear it, it means you still matter. You still feel, and your heart has never run dry. Closing. Breaking illusions doesn't weaken you, it awakens you to the truth that your worth does not depend on how loudly you speak, but whether you still believe in yourself when no one else listens. And in that awakening, you'll glimpse the first light of healing from within. 5. You don't need to be understood. You just need not to abandon yourself. A gentle yet powerful perspective. You know, many times we believe that to be seen or understood, we must perform beyond our limits. We push so hard that we lose sight of ourselves. But what you truly need isn't perfection, or the perfect apology, or someone else's explanation. What you need is not to abandon yourself. Try rewriting your story. It's not your fault for not being understood. You're simply learning to stay. B. Silence is a healing pause, not paralysis. Silence. It's not that you're frozen. It's like a mighty tree sending roots deeper to drink nourishment. When you can't speak, it's a sign your body needs a moment to reveal itself. Your soul seeks a quiet invitation inside. Picture yourself as a room, a sunlit window, warm and bright, corners that are cold and dark. If you shut all doors, yes, you'll lose warmth. But if you move too fast and seal yourself off, you'll only grow cold. Silence isn't shutting down. It's the calm before the pulse returns. You're simply waiting for a spark, a texture, a soft note to reignite your life. C. A phrase to hold. You don't need to be understood. Maybe you don't need to be understood. You only need to not abandon yourself. Maybe you'll never hear that perfect apology. Maybe no one ever meets your eyes and truly connects. But one day, you'll sit down and tell yourself, I did not abandon you. You're still here, even if incomplete. When you do that, you don't need external validation anymore. You've lit your own inner flame. A visual to remember. Think of a candle in the darkest night. Emotions, like wind, can sway it. But if you cup it gently, shielded by compassion, the flame remains soft yet unfading. Your heart is the same. When you choose to stay with pain, with anger, with fear, you defend your soul with acceptance. And your inner flame carries on, soft, undiminished by the wind. E. A Stoic reminder. It's not the wave that breaks you. It's staying out at sea too long. Marcus Aurelius. To heal, you don't need to chase away or escape waves. Just learn to swim gently. Notice when you need to pause. Gently turn toward shore before it's too late. F. Deeper insight. You don't live to be understood. We live by the idea, if someone loves me, they'll understand me. Yet love and understanding don't always follow hand in hand. And understanding doesn't always make you feel seen. Ask yourself, can I still love myself even when no one understands me? The answer is yes, you can, and you deserve to. You don't need to be understood to exist. You just need to love yourself courageously, even before you're called worthy of love. G. A simple practice for today. Write this single sentence. I accept myself, even when no one understands. Hug your feelings. When emotion arises, anger, sadness, loneliness, gently remind, this wave is coming, and I remain. Love yourself. Look into a mirror for a minute and say, I am worthy of love, even if no one says it or understands it. You still are. H. Closing. Inner resilience. When you walk through the fire of silence, you don't just survive. You begin to become gentle without being broken, quiet without losing strength. You don't need to run into the light. You only need to, step by step, not turn away from yourself. Hold this phrase close. I don't need to be understood to exist. I only need to stay with myself. When you're ready, the next episode will take you higher, gently, on this journey home. You are not alone. You are simply leaning on the strongest foundation. That is, you. 6. One breath is enough to begin returning to yourself. An intentional silence. I know we often hear loud, dramatic advice about healing. Be strong, move on, let go. But sometimes, what you need isn't a solution. It's just one small act. To remind yourself, I'm still here. Not to fix anything, just to stay. Exercise 1. Write a letter to yourself. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be poetic. Just sincere. How to do it. Take a sheet of paper, write today's date. Begin with, Dear me, the one who's trying each day. Then write as if you're talking to an old friend. You can include how you're feeling today, something that's been weighing on you, a feeling that's left you tired, and even a small message for yourself. The goal, not to analyze, just to listen to yourself through words. You'll be surprised to find the moment you allow yourself to write, everything you've been holding in might begin to flow like a gentle stream. Exercise 2. 5 minutes of breathing without judgment. How to do it. Sit somewhere quiet, close your eyes, Place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Start inhaling slowly, count to 4. Exhale gently, count to 6. Repeat for 5 minutes. If emotions arise while you breathe, don't push them away. Just whisper, I feel sad, I feel anxious, I feel empty. Then return to your breath. The goal, not to control, not to force yourself to be calm, just to stay with whatever is there. Like a friend, sitting beside you in the storm without asking you to quiet down. A small closing note. If today all you can manage is writing one line to yourself or sitting 5 minutes with your breath, that is enough. You don't need to do well. You just need not to abandon yourself in the moments you feel most fragile. And if tomorrow feels unsteady again, you can return here to yourself, to stillness, to a gentle reminder, I'm still learning how to stay. 7. You're still here, and that is enough. Maybe after hearing all of this, you still don't feel better, and that is completely okay. You don't need to move on quickly. You just need not to turn back and abandon yourself. Just stay with this exact feeling. Don't try to bury it. Don't pretend to be strong. Just sit, like now, and whisper gently, I'm still here. I still choose not to leave myself behind. Transformation doesn't arrive with thunder. It comes in silence. And each day you treat yourself with more gentleness. Each day you say, it's okay, to the emotions you're feeling. You are not alone. You're walking alongside millions of others who are also relearning how to breathe, how to look at themselves with softer eyes. If this message touched you, then in the next piece, we'll go deeper into another quiet but powerful truth. Not everyone who leaves you is wrong, and you don't need them to heal. Gently, no need to rush your healing. No need to force yourself to be okay. We'll take it step by step, in awareness, in honesty. You don't have to be a perfect version. You just have to be the version most faithful to yourself. I'll meet you in the next piece, when you're ready or when you just need a quiet place to rest.